Welcome. I'm the Deadwood Jedi, and today we're doing a clan boss tune-up video, a little count takeover of one of my good friends, my close buddies, and clanmate RedKev. He basically was the one that invited me in this clan when I first started playing this game, and we've been kind of going through. Now, my clan is very quiet, chill. We just like to have an easy, good time. We're not very super competitive about a lot of stuff. So when we're trying to improve our team, it's more for self-satisfaction than anything else. We take down Nightmare, I would say about 50% of the time. We have yet to take down Ultimate Nightmare, even though we do have a couple people that can hit it pretty well. RedKev is one of those. Now, he, I believe, is in one key territory with Nightmare, maybe just slightly under. And then with Ultimate Nightmare, he's doing 3 and sometimes 4 keys to get that top chest. So he's allowed me to go in. This is something we kind of talked about a long time ago when I was first talking about maybe doing some YouTube, is looking in his account for a little bit of content. And so that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to do a clan boss tune-up for my compadre, RedKev, and we're going to see if we can't get his team from that on the edge of 3 keys in Ultimate Nightmare into a very firm 30 million mark, hopefully maybe even up to a 2-key clan boss team. When you're at that kind of level already, when you're already at 3 key, it is very hard to bump it up to the 2 key level. The margins for error become a lot thinner, and really you're just talking about incremental changes that get you up to that big mark. So we're going to see if we can't go in, maybe make some positive changes for the team, and yeah, we'll go in from there. Alright, so let's take a quick look at the champions. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time, but going through we can see there are definitely some good legendary champions of this. Some great support champions in here. So stuff we're going to want to look at. And we have a Draco already, so we're probably going to be going with Draco as our poisoner and our decreased defense weakened champion. Just makes a lot of sense. We take a look at him. He is in lifesteal. You'll notice that all the champions that he's using for clan boss are in lifesteal, which is great. We can see the defense is a little low, so is the HP. We'd want to bump both of those. We'd want to bump that defense up to at least 3,500. Really, we're aiming for 4,000 on each champ. When you're talking Ultimate Nightmare, when you're talking trying to get to a 2-key level, you're really aiming for that 4,000 mark, because that's going to let you last until right around turn 35, 40, 45, depending on the makeup of your team. So that's definitely something we want to do. The HP is a little low as well. We want that to keep that kind of in line with defense. So essentially every 100 defense you have, you probably want about 1,000 HP. Maybe a little less can work. It's not a huge issue, but that's sort of what we're shooting for. Accuracy is good. Crit rate and damage is excellent, actually. That's really great. The attack is a little low, though, so we're not getting as much out of this crit rate as we could if our attack was a little higher, but our defense is kind of low, too, so we got to find a balance there. And kind of the difference between what's more important, the debuffs or the raw damage that Draco's doing. So we're going to look as we go along and see if we can't find a little bit of a balance there with that. Alton, of course, is the preeminent decreased defense or decreased attack champion. You can see he does a good job. We've got mixed stats on people. It doesn't really matter as long as we have that lifesteal, which is good. Definitely want to up that defense to around 4,000, 4,500 would be even better. HP's okay. We could definitely bump it, but that's okay. Great crit rate. Crit damage we could bump up because Alton hits hard. And that accuracy is a little low for my taste. We do have him at Ultimate Nightmare speed, 177. That's not bad at all. Let's see who else we have. It looks like Septimus is a good choice. Yeah, he's in lifesteal as well. A lot of mixed sets, which is fine. Sticking to a set is not crucial. We can see that defense is really low, though. Like, that's not even 2,500. That's not going to cut it. Same thing with the HP is really low, so not only is he not mitigating the damage, but the damage getting through, there's no buffer for it either. Crit rate's a little high, actually, strangely enough, and crit damage is okay. Accuracy is low. Septimus is a debuff extender. If you have a debuff extender, they need accuracy in order to land that extension. So you definitely want to give them that. So Septimus definitely will look at and give a rework. The other person he has in right now is Mausoleum Mage. I'm not convinced that that's the best choice, but certainly a great champion for clan boss and somebody we want to think about using. Again, good speed. Defense is a little low, but it's better than some of the other champs we had. HP's fine. We don't care so much about crit rate and damage. He doesn't hit very hard. And so, yeah, that doesn't need accuracy. It's a pretty solid build. We could definitely bump it up a little bit, but that's a solid build right where we want it. And then I think this is last Skull Crusher. Yeah. So Skull Crusher is an interesting champion. If you have a counterattack champion, you know Skull Crusher, fantastic. Obviously, he has an ally protection along with the counterattack, and that ally protection lasts for 2 turns. Has an unkillable buff on the first turn, which means when he first puts it up, he's not going to die taking all that extra damage from people. The second attack, though, when the clan boss hits hard, especially in Void, he is, and so that's usually where Skull Crusher ends up dying. So this 30,000 health is 10 to 20,000 too low. We definitely need to pump that up so that when he takes that ally protection damage, it's not enough to put him out of the fight. 4,500 defense is good, but for Skull Crusher, we would want to bump that up to like 5,500, 5,000 defense. We want to be able to mitigate as much damage as possible for him. So he's a little bit of a separate build in that case, in that we want to just tank him up as much as possible. We can also up his crit rate, I should say, and that'll help him with his lifesteal, because that'll help him sustain, make sure that even if he doesn't his War Master proc, he's still getting his health back. There's a couple other champions that I'm interested in. There's a lot of champions that are level 50 that we could use in a typical scenario, but because they're only level 50, we're not going to worry about. 2 other champions that really interest me. One of them is a Colt Brawler. Colt Brawler is just a great poisoner. If for some reason I decide not to put in Draco, Colt Brawler would be the next choice. Or if I was like, you know what, we might need another poisoner, this would be who I'd go for. Definitely not ready. Looks like a Nightmare build, not an Ultimate Nightmare build, but that's an interesting champion. The other one I'm really curious about actually is Vrask here. Now the reason why Vrask interests me, it doesn't look like he's built very well for Clan Boss right now. But what interests me the most about Vrask is he heals on his A1 ability. With a counterattack champion, that means you don't need lifesteal gear. I'm pretty sure that Vrask can heal the team on his own, kind of like a Bad Alcazar or a Lugan. That said, I don't have a Vrask. I haven't played with him. I don't know that to be the case. That's just what I've heard. So I'm tempted to bring in Vrask, because while our defense is low, we could use Stalwart gear to kind of supplement that low base defense. Because Stalwart gear has a 30% mitigation on damage right away, that's gonna do a lot for our sustain for our team. So even if our defense isn't as high as we want it to be, that would maybe cover for it. It's kind of a gamble. We have to weigh the pros and cons of such a maneuver, and I'm not sure which way is the best right now. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about at the moment, trying to figure out if that's a possible alternative for gearing. That's going to be our biggest limitation. The champions look good. We'll look at the masteries, we'll look at the composition as a whole, but like in general, the way this team is built right now, he has Alton, Draco, Septimus, Mausoleum Mage, and Skull Crusher. Now, the only other champion I'm thinking about, we could bring in Longbeard. Longbeard's a great damage dealer. He's decked out for Ultimate Nightmare, but obviously we can see there again, low defense, low HP. So there's options for how we want to go about building this. It's basically that 5th slot, that Mausoleum Mage slot. We can mix it up with either a Longbeard or a Vrask or the Mausoleum Mage at this point. And depending on how we do that, it's going to kind of change a little bit about how we're gearing things. So I'm going to take a little bit, think about it, look at what we have. The big limitation will be the gear. If we're struggling right now for defense, so that tells me that we're rocking a lot of 5-star gear, not 6-star. It tells me we're not getting the substats we need in a lot of this gear as well, and we're probably struggling a little bit for speed. So if I can try and make some of that, work some of that magic and get it to a place where we can, really continue to build on it, then I feel pretty good about it. But we're gonna see. I'm gonna take a look. So after spending some time re-gearing, these are the champions. So we have Alton. You'll notice his speed 228 is super fast. We did that on purpose. His defense is still lower than I'd like, so is his health. But his crit rate's good and his accuracy's up a lot. That's going to help a lot, and his crit damage is up a bit as well. Draco, we did bump his defense to 3,400, which is a significant improvement. We got a speed over 190. It's still not perfect, but his accuracy's excellent. His crit rate went down a little bit, but I decided to go and make sure that he got his debuffs in and lasted longer rather than worry about the damage he dealt. Now Septimus, we have a real hard time. He has very low base stats, so it's hard to get his health and defense up. We were able to raise his D to over 3,000. We got his crit rate down to a more reasonable 103%, and his crit rate is crit damage is good. His accuracy is low though. 227 is not really where we want it. We want it closer to 250. That will make a difference in landing his debuffs. Now the other champion we brought in is Nazana. A little bit of an unusual one. I don't see her in a lot of builds. Nazana is a fantastic ally protection champ. We'll talk about it in a little bit. Skull Crusher is going to be the slowest champion we have. 35,000 health, not as high as I wanted, but that 5,000 defense is excellent. That is what we were going for. We could definitely add some crit rate to his build, as well as some more HP. So one of the things that I found interesting in this run, I set everything up so that Alton is moving at 228 speed. That's going to put him on a 4-3 speed ratio. So you notice this mastery right here, Resurgent, where it has a chance to remove a debuff. The reason why we have Alton going so fast is he's going to tank the stun. That means when he gets hit by the stun, he's going to lose a turn on its cooldown. But because he's going so fast, it's not going to change the order in which he uses his skills. Most importantly, that increased defense skill that he has on his A2. Well, Resurgent kind of screwed it all up because it cleansed one of the stuns on him, and as a result, his timing of his skills completely went out the window. So it's an interesting thing. It's not something you think about typically, but I had to actually make it so he wouldn't cleanse the stun so that this build would work properly. I went this way because there was no way, we didn't have a cleanser in the group. There wasn't a debuff blocker once I took Mausoleum Mage out. And so what made the most sense was be able to just tank the stun, but do it in such a way that our cooldowns aren't being reduced. We're not losing any real damage as a result. So that was the trade-off I made. And obviously, whenever you opt for speed over something else, that something else is going to hurt. And that's one of the reasons why Alton's defense is only 3,500 as opposed to 4,000. Why his crit damage is only 144 instead of like 200. Because we had to use crit rate gloves instead of crit damage gloves. Because we had to use speed boots instead of defense boots. Little things like that, they do add up, and those are the differences between doing a 2-key run and a 3-key run, or a 4-key run and a 3-key run. Those little tweaks are what's going to make a big difference in your composition. Now, in this case, I think this is actually very beneficial to us. Even though we may lose a little bit on raw damage per hit, we're going to last so much longer that we should make that up a lot. And we're going to last so much longer because of Nazana. She's kind of the linchpin of this composition. Now, Nazana's not the only champion you could use in this. You could use, for example, Miscreated Monster, who we actually built up to use in some of the dungeons that I was working on. But Nazana is very interesting. I've never seen her in a clan boss composition before, never really seen her use, but her kit is really interesting in that she puts a 40% of her health shield on herself when she uses her ally protect ability. Now, when combined with Skull Crusher, it actually becomes really, really good and strong because Skull Crusher is unkillable for the first AoE, and then Nazana is going to have that huge shield for the second AoE. So they both find ways to mitigate that shared damage that they're taking on the first attack. And that's going to help us really last a lot longer. You can see that shield that just went up on Nazana. Now, as far as actually doing the run, the setup is pretty simple. What we need to do is obviously we need to wait till after the first stun for Skull Crusher to use his counterattack ability because we're actually on turn 0, we're not going. Alton's the only one. Alton and Draco are the only ones fast enough to take a turn. And then between the AoEs, Nazana's going to put her ally protection up. And that's going to mean Skull Crusher's going to protect Nazana's, and Nazana's going to protect the rest of the team. And because because Alton's going at the speed he is, and Nazana's going at the speed she is, Nazana's actually going to be able to keep that ally protection up on Alton throughout the stun as well, which is going to make him super tanky and help him avoid going down prematurely. Now, one of the benefits to having someone like Draco going over 190, going before the clan boss, is that weaken and decrease defense debuff, he gets to put it on right at the beginning. And by putting it on at the beginning, that means all of our hits for that first cycle are going to be a lot harder. So that's a real benefit for us. Now, in this run, we've got Fortuitous, RNG, and Septimus was able to extend a lot of the debuffs. Getting Septimus's accuracy over 250 is crucial to letting him extend those debuffs regularly. I run Septimus in my team. I know how effective he can be, and second pretty much only to Vizier as far as extending debuffs. And he can really keep a full debuff bar all by himself. Now, obviously there is some RNG with that, so there will be some sway to how effective he is from run to run, but in general, if he can once he starts placing the extensions, they'll stay on for the rest of the fight. And when you're only dealing with one poisoner, like we are with Draco here, or like I do with my own team in Steel Skull, that's crucial. Now you see Alton tanks the stun there. We aren't quite in the tune. It doesn't kick in until turn 9. And on turn 9, what's going to happen is Alton's going to take 2 turns after the stun. And that means that at no point will at every point, he gets an opportunity to get his health back and use his lifesteal ability so that he's not vulnerable to any of the attacks from the clan boss. So we're going to get that last poison attempt there from Draco, and you can see the debuff bar is already full thanks to Septimus extending those debuffs. And we're in a pretty good run here. You can see everybody has ally protection on. The double ally protect is super powerful. Such a good damage mitigator, and the clan boss doesn't care whether you have ally protection on, so he will target you regardless, which is helpful here. As you see, Alton gets a stun, takes almost no damage because of that ally protection, and he's going to get his second turn after that as well. And that's what's so great about it. He's going to take a second turn here, and then we will be fully in the tune. And here he puts up that increased defense, which is going to allow all the allies to tank both AoEs so much better. Increased defense is maybe one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful buff you can have on your team. Ally protection is right up there with it. Kick it, DJ. 32 million. I mean, wow. Baller. Hitting them high numbers. Honestly, after this run, when it's been a couple days since I did this account, this is probably the high end on the damage scale. More consistently, this is doing 3 key range, 25 million about on average. So this is definitely the high end, but it shows the potential of this squad. More importantly, it shows really how important ally protection is. There's no Valkyrie in here. There's nothing else really helping this team out other than lifesteal for healing, the ally protection, and increased defense to keep the damage down. So Nazana is actually a pretty good clan boss champion. Now, I'm not saying she's perfect. She brings pretty much nothing else to the table. Not a damage dealer. Her decreased attack ability is not 100%, so I don't recommend relying on her for that. But she is useful. Definitely somebody that you want to think about if you're dying too early, if you're struggling for that 5th champion. Nazana is not a bad choice at all. That said, guys, this is a pretty good run. I was very happy with it. 15 million from Draco. Alton and Septimus both doing work. So much room to improve, increasing that crit damage, increasing the defense of this squad. We lasted a very long time considering we had some pretty low base defenses and health. So there's just a lot of room for this one to grow. I do see this composition as it is eventually becoming a 2-key composition as the gear gets better. And that's really the only thing holding this back is just better gear. That said, I do want to show a couple other things that I did on this account. Specifically, I want to show you guys dungeons. This is something that RedKev had asked me to look at, and so we definitely spent some time in here looking at them. Spiders, he was stuck at about stage 17 or stage 16. I was able to get him all the way to stage 20 with a sub 1 minute run, which I was actually pretty happy about. We did have to fully level up Miscreated Monster, which is always a pain, but so worth it. And you can see we just bring the full nuke strategy in with Septimus, Royal Guard, Cold Heart, and Draco. It worked really well, and having Draco at 193 speed for Clan Boss actually proved really fortuitous in doing that build. Now, Dungeon or Dragon, he was already doing level 20. We tweaked it a little bit to have it a little bit more efficient. And then Ice Golem, he's at like stage 16, I think, and we got him all the way to stage 20. Miscreated Monster proved to be very big on that, helping to sustain us. And Zavia was huge. I mean, if you guys have Zavia, you probably already know this, but she is massive for Ice Golems. When she takes down all those poisons, it's unkillable on those guys. It's such a big boon for your team. Bringing Gorgorab just to revive in case. We did mess with Fire Knight and we're able to advance a little bit all the way to stage 19, but not in a sustainable run. And he doesn't quite have the champions for stage 20. It's either champions or gear. If he improves either of those, I think he should be able to take it down. But we were just a little bit lacking in both of those departments for stage 20 on Fire Knight. That said, I thought this was very successful. I know RedKev was very happy with everything. I know it opened his eyes a little bit to ally protection. Definitely opened my eyes to the power of Nazana as I show the Great Hall here and as he's working towards those Arbiter progressions, hence the importance of the dungeons. But guys, if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell. My videos aren't consistent, so you want to know when they come out. Till next we meet, I'm the Deadwood Jedi.